Hey everyone. I just wanted to jump on today and get a little bit real and raw for a moment. Just about my firstborn. I think it's so funny how, before you become a parent, you think that you are so prepared. And I don't think that there's any way that you actually can be fully prepared to have a child. But obviously hindsight is 2020, and looking back, there's just so many things that you don't know, obviously, when you become a parent, and you just kind of have to learn them along the way and hope for the best. And so, as many of you guys have probably experienced, then that makes it so that with each child that you have, and as the years go on, you do parent differently, and learn lessons along the way, and change things here and there, and learn things. And that's kind of the cool thing about being a parent too, is that you get to always be learning, always improving, always working on yourself, which should be every aspect of life, if you asked me. But I was just kind of thinking about things recently because this past week I went to a parent-teacher conference for my oldest, and just kind of thinking back on the journey that we've had. He's 6 years old now, and there's just so many things that I've learned along the way, and I could probably talk for 10 hours about those things, but I'll try to be as brief as possible and kind of summarize things to give a little bit of background leading up to this conference. So I don't think that my oldest had the easiest start to life. He was breech for pretty much my whole pregnancy, which doctors will say that doesn't really matter. But we have come to learn that does play a huge role in their development when they're unable to move and exercise and work their muscles and develop their nerves and all that stuff in the womb. It really does impact them in many ways. And so starting with being breech and then being born by cesarean, I mean, that can impact your gut and many other things. Learning about MTHFR and tongue ties, and I mean, there's so many different rabbit holes that you can go down, but all these things kind of tie together, and things that we thought were not going to have an impact on him ended up really impacting him a lot, and just kind of all the things together kind of built up for him. So this led to speech delays, motor delays. He was always like at the low end of normal. All the doctors always said, kids grow at their own pace. Those are just averages. Everything's fine. But there was always kind of like that feeling like I felt like something was off, not necessarily enough to make me concerned at that time, but enough to just have it on my radar a little bit. And so so by 3, when he was not putting 2 words together, and the doctor was like, oh, that's fine, that's normal. And it was like, you know what, it doesn't feel normal. Like, I would feel better if we just pursued therapy at that point. So fast forward, by the time he's going into kindergarten, he's at the low end of normal for most stuff. Doing pretty well with life and all kinds of stuff, but still just a little bit of a struggle for him to keep up with his peers and stuff like that. And what I do have some notes because I don't want to get like too off track. So when he had his conferences for kindergarten, even though I knew that he had these struggles, it wasn't like fully at the front of my awareness at that time. And so going to his conferences really kind of threw me for a loop, because his teachers and therapists at school started using words like developmental delays and different things that they said they had to use this like correct terminology. And that was a little bit hard to hear, especially for me, because my son happened to be with me at this parent-teacher conference and hearing all these things as well. So he actually came home the next day. He had refused to do this project in kindergarten where they're cutting out shapes. And I asked him why he didn't do it, and he said, well, Mom, I can't cut. And I was like, I know you can cut, like, maybe he can't cut like on the line like everyone else. He can cut next to the line or whatnot. But, you know, it just like, it really hit me to the core, because at that point I knew that he felt like he was different. And he even came home, he even came home one day and said like he sat at a special table with other kids that were different like him, because he took a little bit longer to complete tasks and stuff like that. So, I mean, all that stuff literally was like a stab to my heart. And over the past year, I've been seeing different things online, and we were always told, well, I guess I had kind of come across when he was around 2, I had come across information about tongue ties, had him assessed at that point. They said, you know, it's mild, he's not nursing anymore, he'll probably outgrow it, so we don't really need to do anything. Well, over the years and dealing with it with my other kids too, and having them revised, and I kind of came to realize that you don't really outgrow it. Maybe some kids do, but his was to the point where he was not outgrowing it. It was affecting his palate formation, his sinuses, his attention, because his CO2 balance was thrown off. So it's making him like super fidgety, and he wants to talk all the time, and he takes forever to eat. And I mean, there's like a million things I could get into, but just all these things kind of built up to where it's like, okay, this is impacting multiple areas of his life. And that's why this year at age 6, we are actually having him revised in a couple weeks. And so it's been kind of a build up until now, and we're really, really excited to get that done and see where it goes from here, and how he can see improvement in those areas. But it's just been a lot of things. And so yeah, so this past week I went to his parent-teacher conference, kind of expecting to hear the same kind of stuff. Over the past, I don't know, year or so, we have tried to figure out different ways that we, well, I guess even going back to when he was 3, different ways that we can hack his body. I like to call it biohacking. And basically, like, when you have a life hack, you're hacking the ways that you do life to make it easier. So when you're biohacking, you're literally hacking your body. Like, what different choices can you make, or interventions, or supplements, or therapies can you do to hack your body to make it work better, be healthier, etc. So we've tried different things, you know, therapies, herbs, supplements, all kinds of stuff. He does get his therapies at school too. And so going into this conference, I'm just kind of expecting like the same old stuff. I know that he's fidgety. I know that he has trouble paying attention. I've never really been one for like titles. I would never like consider him to necessarily have ADHD. He does have a lot of maybe the same kind of symptoms as that. I've never really like put a label on it like that, but I was expecting all that same kind of stuff. And so the teacher was going through stuff, basically telling me a lot of the same stuff that I was already expecting. So then we get to one of the ways that they assess is by storytelling. So so this I thought was pretty interesting. So at the beginning of the school year, he starts out with drawing pictures and not telling a story. Same kind of thing here. Pictures, no story. Here, he's writing a story in the picture section. I keep turning it the wrong way because I'm backwards on the... Here he started doing pictures and stories. And the teacher, as she's showing me this, she's kind of explaining, normally when she rates people, they have to rate them like 1 through 4. So like 3 would be normal for his age, 2 would be like slightly under, 4 would be like slightly over normal. So she said, normally when I rate the students, I kind of take an average of the entire year. But she said, all of a sudden, about 2 weeks ago, I noticed that things were changing, like suddenly. His assignments were suddenly a lot better. His handwriting was suddenly a lot better, and his social skills as well. So she kind of gave me that disclaimer before she showed me this, but this was the previous week. So he did a story, kind of. Then he does scribbles where he's kind of like pretending like he's doing a story. So then she said this is the week that she noticed a huge difference for him in 1 week. So literally when she showed me this, it like blew my mind. I have never seen like him have such great spacing with his words, and his handwriting is like legible. Literally blew my mind. And so here's another one the following week. Yeah. So I said to the teacher, I said, that's really, really interesting, because 2 weeks ago, literally exactly 2 weeks ago, we started giving him this special nutrient drink for his brain. And it was actually kind of accidental. We usually give the kids decaf, and we gave him the caffeinated version, which has some like extra nutrients in it. And the caffeine apparently helps the nutrients cross into the brain better. It's just like a tiny bit of caffeine. But I was always like a little bit hesitant, like, well, I don't really know if I want to give my kids caffeine, even though it's a tiny bit. Like, it's a kid, does he really need caffeine? Even though I've heard that some kids with some parents with hyperactive kids do give their kids coffee in the morning before school and stuff like this, instead of doing medication. I've heard that many times, especially as a school nurse. But yeah, so we kind of like accidentally gave him the regular version of this brain drink, and then suddenly his teacher saw these amazing results. And to me, like I literally said to her, wow, that's incredible, because we started this new thing. And she said, well, whatever that is, it's working. So that literally blew my mind. And I just wanted to tell everybody, because there's so many things that can help. And I know it's hard for us as parents. There's so many options out there, and there's so many things that we have to learn about and decide, like, is this for me or is this not for me? And for us, a lot of the times it's just been like, well, what are the pros? What are the cons? What happens if we do nothing? I am a full believer in informed consent, and knowing all the options and being able to make an informed decision for myself. And so for a lot of things, it's just come down to, is it like, what are the risks? Are there any risks? Not really. So we might as well try it. I mean, therapy, what's a risk? Well, it costs money, but is it worth it? Yes. So yeah, a lot of stuff we just kind of had to dive in and say, you know, all this, I mean, all the stuff that we've been doing lately with his revision and everything, we just have to dive in and say, well, maybe it won't do anything, but maybe it will, and maybe it will really help. Even though we're paying out of pocket for a lot of it and the insurance is covering and all that stuff, maybe it will make a big difference. And for him as a 6-year-old, we could have a huge impact on him as he grows for the rest of his life. And being able to do things for him before he's fully developed will also make a huge difference. So I just wanted to tell everybody, because I was so excited to see these examples and see how blown away his teacher was. And really, I mean, I'm actually kind of speechless, but I don't know. So if anyone out there is interested in different things that you can do to help with focus, help with brain health, different things like that, my wellness community is actually having someone come in and talk about tips and tricks and supplements and, you know, different things that you can do to kind of hack how your brain works. I know a little bit of what she's going to say, but I'm like super fascinated to hear the rest of it, because she's an expert on this, and I will definitely be taking notes. If that interests anyone, go ahead and let me know and I can get you added. But I just thought, like, this is not something that I should keep to myself. So I will try to keep everybody updated on how everything goes, and he has his revision in a couple weeks, and so that should help with his speech and his breathing right away. And then the other stuff, I mean, we'll have to just see how it goes. He's going to have to do some orthodontic work to get his palate expanded, and really it's going to be like probably years for the whole process, moving into braces and all that stuff, just because his entire facial anatomy has been affected by this. But I will definitely keep you guys updated, and we're just really, really excited to see where it goes from here and all of that. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Talk to you later.